I'm angry, if you will. I'm very angry.
They've lost their fear. They're not afraid.
Bullets instead of books, guns instead of grades, tragedy instead of triumph.
I presided over the funerals of too many young men and women laying horizontal in caskets.
It needs to stop, you know what I mean?
I want our young people to put the guns away.
This is a Fox 19 Now special, Teens and Violence, a search for solutions.
They were sons, daughters, brothers, and sisters. They had hopes, dreams, wishes, and futures, and now they are pictures on strings. Teens and children no longer with us, the victims of violence. Good evening, I'm Rob Williams.
I'm Trisha Mackey.
I'm Amber Jayon.
And I'm Chris Riva.
At issue is the thing that's tearing communities apart.
We're dedicating the rest of this hour to try to provide some perspective, maybe a little context, depth on this problem.
And we'll look at why it's all happening and hear speculations about solutions.
And we'll show you the programs already in place trying to stop the violence and if they're working.
So the reasons for the violence, they're multifaceted, lots of layers here, and it's not just happening in Cincinnati, it is happening everywhere. Kamar Williams, 19 years old, gunned down.
Shocking.
Cameron Franklin, 14 years old, shot and killed.
It really just gets harder not knowing why.
Marcellus Whitehead, hit by gunfire, 8 years old.
They said he was moving so much that they had to put him in a coma so he could relax his brain.
Nearly 50 shooting victims younger than 20 years old so far this year in Cincinnati, and climbing. That's 2 a week. And it's not just happening in those neighborhoods. Smale Riverfront Park, 2 teens died after police say they shot each other. And Kings Island. Fighting, yelling, cursing. 12 to 16-year-olds charged with disorderly conduct. And it's not just a local problem.
Excuse my language. We should be angry.
Toledo.
Go, find cover, do it!
A 4th of July party ends with a dozen people shot and a teenager dead. And Chicago, a university student named Max Lewis dies after a stray bullet blows through the window of a train he's riding on and kills him.
He was incredibly special, and he was brave till the very end.
Hamilton County Prosecutor Joe Dieters has declared a war on illegal guns. And just days ago, Cincinnati police added 20 to 25 extra patrols to weekend staffing across the city for the rest of the summer, working from the early afternoon through the early morning hours. They're in cruisers, on foot, and on bicycles.
We are going to be asking our community partners to engage in some additional measures, some problem-solving efforts to render what is at the root of this problem.
Some are a little skeptical.
It's all about zip codes. Certain zip codes don't matter, and that's what it feels like in this city.
Teachers, mentors, coaches, our clergy, they need to be out to help.
What we ultimately need is for the community to step up as well and to recommit to true values of self-love and not believing that if someone calls you a name or is disrespectful, that shooting them is the appropriate response.
According to the CDC, gun violence was the leading cause of death for people under 20 in 2019. Homicide is the 3rd leading cause of death among teens, and on average, roughly 360 teenagers are treated for assault injuries every single day.
So there's the problem, but why is it happening?
Too many guns, a lack of education, poverty, retaliation.
How do you fix it? You're going to hear from community leaders, those working in the criminal justice system, and the teens themselves.
You in a bit, and now to this other huge breaking story from Fox 19 Now Investigates. The Cincinnati police officer under investigation for allegedly shelving rape DNA test kits that go way back years. And we're not even talking kits, we're talking the results.
Right now, yeah, and so the officer is, and we're naming him, even though there has not been an official charge yet, because they're already talking with the district attorney's office, is Christopher Schroeder. As we take a look, he joined the police force in 1999 from Cincinnati Police Department. He was assigned to Personal Crimes Unit in July of 2007, and then assigned to District 1, reassigned in July of 2021. We believe when Cincinnati Police caught some of this, started questioning themselves and open up an internal investigation. Right now, they are currently working with the district attorney, Joe Dieters, Tricia, who you just spoke to.
That's right. We had a lengthy conversation. I believe that we have a little bit of sound that we can listen into. How many potential rape cases, DNA cases, does this have the potential of stretching, and over how many years? And I know your investigation's ongoing, but can you kind of give us an idea of the scope here?
Hundreds of cases. It's going to be hundreds of cases. We will probably have to be reviewing up to 1,000 cases to make a determination as to his effect on that case and on the judicial system. I mean, if he tainted a prosecution that was successful by the prosecutors, we may have to retry the case. The statute of limitations may have run. There's a whole variety of things that we're going to have to take into account in dealing with this problem.
Now, that is just one small section of a probably 20-minute interview that I had with Joe Dieters just a short time ago. And you've been working on this along with the Fox 19 Now Investigates team for quite some time. And you also have his personnel file.
We do. And one thing I do want to point out of that interview right there is I have talked to his attorney, Schroeder's attorney, which is Mike Allen. So full disclosure there, Mike Allen is the Fox 19 Now legal analyst. But in this situation, he is the defense attorney for Schroeder, who is disputing that, saying that he believes it is less than 10 cases that are under question right now as that's under investigation. So we'll see who is right in that situation. But yeah, so basically what is happening here is that he's under investigation at this standpoint for just suppressing evidence, not doing nothing with evidence, potentially like putting in a desk drawer and walking away from that. And the big question now for not only law enforcement, but also the prosecutor's office is how many cases did this impact?
Well, and I think a lot of people are saying right now, why would he do that? And I did ask the prosecutor that as well, and you know, he kind of throws his hands up on that. Why did he allegedly even do this?
We don't know the answer to that question as of yet. You mentioned we have his personnel file. One of it includes his performance reviews, which was the latest performance review says meets standards, exceeds standards, meets standards. We'll break more on that down as we continue throughout the day with our coverage as we unpack this story that really is starting to.
Chris, if you don't mind, can I ask just a couple of questions just for everybody at home, because you might be wondering these same things. How long has this officer been on the force? Do you have any idea?
Since 1999, and then he went to this crimes unit where he was this investigator, I believe, in, what was it? We had it on the full screen, 2007-ish or something.
Perhaps,
like that. Yeah. So since that time. So from that standpoint, he was an investigator, as opposed, there it is. So he went in 2007, he went to the personal crimes unit. So that's when he became basically like a detective and started investigating crimes themselves, right? Up to that point, he was just a police officer.
So his attorney is saying that it could be, it's not that many cases. Joe Dieters says it has the potential to be hundreds of cases here. We don't know what the scope is, obviously. Nobody does. Nobody does, except him, I guess.
Correct.
Perhaps. But in layman's terms, there's this is affecting a lot of people, a lot of women and a lot of alleged rapists, maybe that didn't get prosecuted or got prosecuted.
No, there's a lot of questions out there. And like, how did that impact cases moving forward? How did it impact cases that the prosecutor's office that he worked on, did actually prosecute in this case? Those are all things that are under review right now.
Okay. We'll see in just a little bit.
Okay.
Keep checking back in. We'll keep showing you some more of that.
Robertson County has some of the most scenic views you will find anywhere in the tri-state area. Located about 60 miles southeast of Cincinnati, the county's rolling hills at the foot of the Appalachian Trail provide the backdrop. Michael Henderson raises sheep and chickens on his farm.
All I have to do is whistle and they come.
He says it is a quiet and serene life, but it comes with a cost.
The scary part is if something serious happens, like an emergency, the nearest hospital is like 30 miles either direction.
And that could be deadly if someone here suffers a stroke.
If an emergency arises, it can be difficult because usually It could be up to 45 minutes to an hour before you get an ambulance here.
One of the closest hospitals is a half an hour away in Maysville. Registered nurse Allison Alexander is the closest this county has to a doctor on site.
If you think you're having signs and symptoms of a stroke, would be to call 911 and seek emergency medical attention. If you can get an aspirin in the system, that would be great. That kind of helps if there would happen to be a clot.
Of the 3,200 U.S. counties that the CDC ranks in stroke deaths per capita, Robertson County is number 23 on the list. But they do take care of their seniors. The local nursing home gets high marks from the residents.
They do a good job. They do.
Neighbors also help out by providing a ride to the store or by putting food on the table when it is needed. The last time we visited Robertson County on April 27th, we first learned that there is not even a doctor in town. But then, 3 days after our story aired,
I got a call from Next Direct wanting to come out and talk to me about primary care for my community.
And what does that mean for the people of Robertson County?
It means it's wonderful. It will save a lot of time.
The county also announced today that it will hold a free dinner and live music event on June 4th at Robertson County School. They say it is a meet and greet with the Next Direct team as they prepare to open a primary care clinic in Mount Olivet.
Yeah, any doctor in town would be good. Even, a nurse practitioner would be good.
But right now in Robertson County, when there is an emergency,
if you can get them in a car and take them yourself, your chances are better than waiting for the ambulance. But if they're down, you have to wait and you just have to hope for the best.
Fox 19 Now's investigation into the unemployment fraud in the state of Ohio is spreading across the country.
Our Chris Riva has been digging into this situation for weeks. And Chris, we heard you in the newsroom today, and you had some pretty surprising interviews.
Well, conversations proving that Ohio's unemployment fraud problem has escalated from a state level to a national problem. The last 2 weeks, we've been telling you about tens of thousands of people that are receiving tax forms indicating that they have applied for benefits when they did not, likely making them a victim of fraud or identity theft. But within the last 24 hours of our report, cases of fraud filtering through Ohio's unemployment office are spreading like wildfire. This map shows how widespread the problem is, each marker representing the hundreds of people that reached out to us, not ODJFS. These are the unknowing victims of the latest Ohio unemployment crisis. By a show of hands, how many people do not live in the state of Ohio?
Today, via video conference,
okay, everybody here,
we gathered a large group of the more than 200 emails we have received in the last 24 hours.
I've never been to Ohio in my entire life. I'm sure it's lovely.
This screen represents 22 different states from various backgrounds, but they all have one thing in common.
How many people received the 1099-G form?
I knew immediately it was something to be worried about because, again, I don't live in Ohio and I don't work in Ohio.
They received a 1099-G tax form from the Ohio Unemployment Office, and none of them have filed for benefits in the state of Ohio last year.
I didn't even know they existed. Department of Job and Family Services, no communication until I got that 1099 yesterday.
It just seems like there's so many levels of failure that have to occur for someone to claim benefits that doesn't have an address in the state that has never worked there. But it also makes me sad because that's a heck of a lot of money that could help people.
What scares me is if your identity was stolen. It was stolen 6-7 months ago. And what's been done since then to your financial situation that you don't know about?
Many are unsure what to do next, fearing the online link or telephone number to report their fraud claims are yet just another scam.
For me, when I talked to the woman this morning, she basically told me, because she was having a hard time actually talking to me because I didn't have a PIN number on a card that was apparently sent to me, which was ridiculous. So someone steals my identity, opens up this fraudulent benefits account. I'm the real Camille, and they won't talk to me because I don't know the PIN number on a card that was apparently used to pay these benefits. So I actually laughed and said, like, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm the person whose identity was used. Like, you need to help me.
That Zoom call representing California to Florida. As we've reported, the Ohio Department of Jobs and Family Services says that they have actually stopped
stopped 166,000 of these forms from going out, saying that they were going to fraudulent claimants. These are the people that did receive it. On January 13th, the day that the online portal was created to help those who received the form, 260 people signed in. Monday, Fox 19 Investigates confirmed that more than 10,000 claimed that they were victims of fraud. And then now tonight, 4 days later, 2 days since we last reported on this number, it's more than doubled. We're sitting at 46,000 claimants. Now, we asked today to speak to Director Henderson, and she said that she wasn't available today. The office said that they'll let us talk to her as soon as we can. We also spoke to Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost about how this is happening in his investigations. He says he's looking into it. We even called the FBI looking into what are the things that they're doing to try to track down these criminals. But of all the information that we can provide, this is the most important part. If you've received one of these 1099-G forms and you think you're a victim of fraud, you can go to our website, fox19now.com. There's a story titled, Get an Ohio 1099-G form but didn't file for unemployment? Here's what to do. And it looks like this. Within the story is a link that will take you to a page that has a 3-step process to go through where you can actually submit the fact that you are a fraudulent claimant. Now, at some point next week, we're going to know just how much money has been paid out to these fraudulent claims, guys. Our reporting will continue.
It started with a promise.
We're looking to get it by the end of the year if we can.
And now the vaccines are here.
Hey, all done? All done. Well, how was it? Hey, that was great. Nothing to it.
But are they safe? Is there enough? Where do you get them? And the big question of all, when will life return to normal?
I had a family member tell me the other day I haven't hugged my father in 11 months.
Get the facts to help you and your family conquer COVID right now.
The vaccine, fact versus fiction.
Hello and welcome to our special, The Vaccine, Fact versus Fiction. I'm Tricia Mackey.
I'm Chris Riva. We are dedicating to answer the questions, that are countless questions that people have about getting vaccinated with COVID-19.
So let's kick it off with a look at how we got to this point to begin with. Let's send it over to Rob Williams for that.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. It's been a race against the clock to find ways to stop COVID-19 from spreading, sickening, and killing. The push started in earnest with a phrase that sounded more like a military endeavor.
We're looking for a full vaccine for everyone that wants to get it.
Former President Donald Trump unveiled Operation Warp Speed. The goal, develop a proven COVID-19 vaccine safely and quickly.
When I say quickly, we're looking to get it by the end of the year if we can. Our task is so urgent that under Operation Warp Speed, the federal government will invest in manufacturing all of the top vaccine candidates before they're approved.
By May and June, Children's Hospital and UC Health here in Cincinnati were involved in trials for potential vaccines.
It's really compressed is what they're trying to do, is to put everybody's resources into this to get it done as quickly as possible.
On June 30th, the FDA announced that in order to get approval, any company's vaccine would need to be at least 50% effective in lowering the severity of COVID-19 symptoms. Multiple trials around the country and the world pressed on. Then on November 9th, big news. Pfizer announced that early data showed its COVID-19 vaccine had an effective rate of 95% in a trial of more than 43,000 people. Exactly 1 week later, Moderna announced they had a vaccine that was 94% effective.
So I think the higher efficacy, the better off we are. So to hear a real high efficacy for the vaccine is great news.
And then came December 11th, when the FDA gave the green light to distribute Pfizer's vaccine. Exactly 1 week later, it was Moderna's turn. Then last week, President Biden announced a plan to purchase an additional 200 million doses, which his administration says would allow 300 million Americans to be vaccinated by the end of this summer or early fall.
That increases the total vaccine order in the United States by 50%, from 400 million order to 600 million.
Much like putting someone on the moon, when we put our heads together, we can really make a difference. And the science has showed the way. What normally takes 5 to 10 years, we can do in 1 to 2 years.
Yeah, that's amazing when you think about it. Now, a vaccine from Johnson & Johnson could get emergency approval any day now. And the White House coronavirus coordinator said the government is going to ship about 1 million doses to some 6,500 pharmacies around the country starting next week. And that Johnson & Johnson is not as effective as the other two. However, it's only one shot, and there's definitely an advantage to that. Back to you guys.
Rob, thank you. And there are differences, as you were mentioning, between Pfizer, Moderna, and that Johnson & Johnson vaccine. We're going to explain them and also answer whether you can choose one or the other, combine them, or if you need to avoid one of them.
Plus, we're going to address how long the vaccine is going to keep you safe from coronavirus. And we're also going to touch on that second dose that's causing symptoms, flu-like symptoms for a lot of people.
And then we're going to hit on the problems for people that are having difficulty signing up online despite being eligible.